Welcome to Birthing Purpose with Lana. We have Dave Chittock here today. He is the president of Incentra Company. He works with HR leaders to help with employee engagement and retention. In addition, he works with sales and marketing leaders to drive sales. Welcome, Dave.
Hi, Lana. Good to see you again. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Yes. You and I met back in 2014 when you recruited me to be on the board of Emerge, which is an organization that helps high school students to prepare and plan for after high school. And that was a great experience. Yes.
It was a great experience, and it was great to work with you. And we hated that you moved and then couldn't be part of the team anymore.
Yeah, so I said, I have to have you in to speak with the viewers about your journey to birthing Incentra, because I know you have a good testimony on how it all began.
Happy to share that with you and your folks that join you as well.
Okay. So with the Birthing Purpose workshops, I compare how you birth babies in the natural to birthing your purpose, because there are similarities. So who do you say, or where do you give credit to for birthing your purpose, which is Incentra?
You know, it's an interesting question. First off, I claim to know nothing about birthing. My wife did all that work. I give her all credit. But I worked for an independent manufacturer's rep summers when I was back in college. And his family actually owns a number of the buildings right here in our town of Chagrin Falls. And he had a really cool gig. He had a house outside of town, but he had a barn that had his own office in it. And he kind of cruised around in short sleeve shirts and sold hardware all over kind of a 3-state region. But he was just a really fun guy. But I really dug his lifestyle. I liked that he could come and go as he pleased. And in the summer, I actually worked with the full-time maintenance man, and we took care of a number of the buildings. And some of the buildings here in Chagrin had other manufacturers' reps in the building. And, you know, these guys would go to Florida for a month in the winter, and it just seemed like a pretty chill and, you know, way to do a job. And at the end of the day, what I'm doing now initially started as, I really want to be like, Sheridan Harris. I want to be, and he was a really, really good mentor to me. But I just wanted to do my own thing from a business standpoint.
Wow. And how young were you at that time when you were kind of?
Well, I started in the summer after freshman year in college. So I would have just turned 19.
Mm-hmm. So did you?
19, 20, and then 21.
Now, I know in college, they always give you those career tests and things like that. Did you take any of those?
I didn't. I started out as a finance major because, okay, I don't know, for the heck of it. And I realized that wasn't my thing. And I went to, so I was going to take some finance classes at another school during the summer where it was a little bit easier. So I went to the finance department. The head guy was a really tough ex-military guy. And I told him, well, this is kind of what was my plan. I'm going to take these hard finance classes during the summer. And he said, you know, we call you here in the finance department. We call people like you just wussies. You're going to be a finance major. You're going to do it here at Miami of Ohio. Uh-huh. And, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, thanks. That's really good advice. I appreciate it. So I literally walked out and went and changed my major to marketing, because I figured, hey, I've got a big mouth. Maybe I can go sell something or market something someday.
So let's talk a little bit about pregnancy confirmation. When a woman, okay, so when a woman is pregnant, she goes to the doctor to get that confirmation from the doctor. So did you ever go to God and say, is this what I'm supposed to do? Or did you get any further confirmation like, yep, it's marketing. Yes, it's, you know, I'm supposed to have my own business. Any further confirmations?
You know, it's a great question. As I look back on my life, mm-hmm, the Lord really kind of directed my steps. So when I was at school, and I wasn't really actively interviewing for jobs. I was going to take the summer off after we graduated and maybe go travel with a buddy. But a good friend of mine, he convinced the people at Eastman Kodak, which was a huge company, 140,000 employees back in the day, that that they should fly me up to Rochester and interview me. So I knew I wanted to be in sales or marketing, and so really at the end of the day, the Lord orchestrated that interview. I went up and I got the job. So started a career with a great company and a bunch of wonderful people. Did that for about 4 years, and that kind of reconfirmed that it just working for a large company wasn't for me. So I ended up leaving them and starting a company down in Atlanta. And we sold custom suits to executives, and that's kind of a long story. Did okay for a year or two, and then just kind of failed a miserable death. But that's okay, because I learned a lot.
Yes, yes.
And I had to learn that it's okay to fail. I read during the middle of all that Henry Ford had failed at like 14 things before he figured out the car business. So it was like, wait a minute, it's okay to fail if you're going to do this business stuff. And so I knew I wanted to get back and be an independent rep in some way. And so I went out kind of looking and ended up interviewing for a company called Jostens, probably did your high school rings. Well, they had a business division that sold plaques and corporate rings and other awards to large corporations. And again, one guy there really liked me, and they brought me on board. And then that really started me in the business that I've been in since 1987. And that's the recognition business.
Now, back then, you probably weren't in church like you are now, or were you? Would you grow up in the church?
It's a great question. So yes, I grew up in a church that was an old line denomination, and church was, you went to church on Sundays.
And that's it.
That was it. And maybe you helped out with a little project here or there, but my faith started, what's that?
Right, that intimacy of actual praying, going to God, really not so much at that time.
Well, it's interesting. The praying thing I always did, just not maybe the Bible study or, really, really taking it seriously. But by God's grace, my wife is an incredibly strong Christian. Mm-hmm. So when we got married and moved from Atlanta to Cleveland, and we were pregnant like within 3 months after getting married, we knew that we both knew that we needed to get our son to church. So by the time he was about 1, we just started to go to the church. It was actually the church I grew up in, and my grandparents have been founding members. And so that's where my faith started to grow. But I'll probably end up sharing the story here in a couple of minutes, but it needed to grow a lot more. But it was growing, and that was really kind of key. Mm-hmm. To my business, because I started my business in the same year that my son was born, 1987.
Wow. So what made you say it's time to start my own business? Well, and the type of business that you have, the incentive programs for the employees.
Well, that's where the testimony comes in.
All right, let's hear it.
I was repping for Jostens and growing a nice territory and making a decent living. As an independent rep, which means you weren't an employee, you were a 1099 type of partner. Right. So as reps, we were selling other things that didn't necessarily compete with Jostens. All of us reps were. And Jostens decided they wanted to get all that business too. And so they kind of went through a process with threatening all of us that if they didn't get rid of that, if we didn't give them that business, they were going to get rid of us. And it was a very stressful time because we'd all built up a certain level of business. It was also about the time of the stock market crash back in 1999 and 2000. So my business life is starting to explode. The rest of my financial life is imploding. Everything's going crazy. I literally don't know if I'm going to have a business. And that was, so as I'm going through this, I'm realizing like everything was so out of control, Lana. And I used to do these power walks in the morning. That's where I talked to the Lord. And finally, one of them, it's so hard to give up control. But on one day in early 2000, I just said, I'm done. That's it, Lord. I can't do this. I can't do it on my own. I'm going to give my life to you. I don't know what that means. That scares the heck out of me because I'm a prideful, insecure dude. But I just need you to carry me through this. Completely life-changing decision. I mean, obviously the greatest decision I ever made. Meeting my wife, marrying her was number 2. Right? She's the best.
Yes.
So what happened was, so at that same time, the business was blowing up with Jostens. And there were about 20 of us that were close as reps, and we're meeting with attorneys. We made the decision that we were gonna split, and we're all gonna start our own businesses. Wow. What was cool is we had this network of people to support each other. We all had our own attorneys helping us, and as it turned out, Jostens had a bunch of problems with, they were doing a big, I think, Oracle implementation, and they couldn't ship anything, they couldn't pay, they couldn't do anything. And so contractually, they weren't holding up their end of the bargain. So it's just like the Lord opened this window for all of us to split. And what ended up happening was, as a rep here in Cleveland with Jostens, I could only call on certain companies in this area, and there were 2 other reps, so it was really limited. When I split, now I can call anywhere. Right. And today I have clients, in many cities across country. And the other thing was that we got connected, those reps and I, with a little teeny tiny company in Texas. Owner's a Christian, phenomenal guy, who was starting a new way of doing recognition that was technology based. He needed reps. We needed somebody to take over this other business that we were doing. It was just like the perfect match when the good Lord just put us all together. Wow. And so we were able to go in where our previous company was failing, bring in this new company and just start to build a business. And it was just incredible. So, I mean, I really love the business. It's positive, right? It's about, it's just about helping people feel happier and more engaged with their work world. It's great. On the sales side, it's fun. I mean, we incent salespeople to go sell more, and they're rewarded, and they get cool stuff, and they feel good about themselves. Mm-hmm. So, it's a really fun business to be in. And that year, 2000, was pivotal to me in terms of opening up doors that allowed me to, dramatically grow the business compared to what it was. So,
so just as surrendering to God and saying, take the wheel, you surrendering to God and telling him to take the wheel is what just catapulted you into what it is he had for you to do.
100%. Mm-hmm. I claim no great plan, no great responsibility, other than being smart enough to say, I can't do it, Lord. It's all yours.
Wow. So how was your attitude about, now I have to start my own business? I mean, it seems like you wanted to, but did you have any reservations? Was there any fear? What was your attitude?
You kidding me? Total fear, man. I've got a couple kids, and yeah, it was a time of total fear, but it was a time of having some trust, and really doors started opening so quickly that I was able to see that this was going to be actually a really good thing. I mean, we all realized by the end of 2000, early into 2001, like this whole thing was like the greatest thing that happened in terms of the way everything blew up with the old company and opened up the door with this new partner.
So all your provisions, I tell people, when you get into purpose, here comes provision. God will provide when you do what he wants you to do. And it's almost like I wish I would have surrendered or said, God, take the wheel a long time ago. And maybe we could have avoided some of the pitfalls that we and the mistakes that we've made along the way if we would have just
Remember I told you I preached to 18 to 25-year-olds over in Kenya?
Yes.
That was my sermon. What if? What if I would have made that decision way earlier in life? But as a good friend of mine who's a soccer missionary said, he's Serbian, so he has an accent. Are you questioning God's timing, David?
Ah,
Right? I mean, the Lord's got his timing.
right.
So
And
we
learn
got to be at peace with that.
we
Right?
learn on the way, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about restrictions, because every pregnant person has restrictions. They can't ride roller coasters, they can't smoke alcohol, drugs, all that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
when you're trying to fulfill your purpose, there's some restrictions, some things that you may have to stop doing so that you do not abort your purpose. Some people have to give up addictions, get help, maybe stay away from some people, change some thinking patterns. Some people have to give up social media because it can be distracting. I mean, you're too busy watching other people that you can't do what it is God has called you to do. So were there some restrictions that you had to put on yourself to say, you know what, if I'm going to do this thing, I need to cut this out?
Wow, it's a great question. For me, I think it wasn't so much cutting out as it was what to focus on. Like I think about my wife always ate really healthy when she was pregnant, and she was really, really disciplined about that. And for me, it meant having an incredible level of discipline, more than I had typically shown.
Okay.
About the business and building it and being really consistent with cold calls and doing the hard work, that I needed to make the thing grow and prosper. I think the other thing is to pour into relationships. The world's changing a lot, but I just am an absolute believer that relationships are kind of what makes the world go round, right? And so, as I started to build relationships with customers, I had to just keep feeding into those and helping them understand that I was really there for them. So yeah, I mean, I will tell you, yes, I definitely cut out some of the maybe more wild Dave party guy things. But I had a couple kids and I've got a business, and so, which I'm sure my wife was happy to see. So those are the key things.
Right.
It just is really about discipline, pouring into relationships, and ratcheting back.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we're not disciplined, then that's that procrastination. Like we put stuff off what we could be doing now because our focus is off and things like that. So yeah, that's awesome. So Lamont.
Well, let me say, you're right. And I will tell you, I was just hungry. I was hungry because it was a new business. I had to make it work. I've got this family I've got to support. That really, really motivates you. I'm in a different stage of my life, and we still got great things going on, and we're working on new clients and what have you. But I'm not as hungry as I was when I was 28, 29, 30, 31 years old.
The kids are grown now. They can take care of themselves.
I know. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. But man, then, right, just got to be hungry every day.
Yeah. So let's talk about Lamar's class, because most pregnant women take Lamar's class because it helps.
We did them.
You did them, right? It helps you.
No, I did them with Linda. Absolutely.
So talk to the viewers about the education needed to do what it is you do. Like, what kind of schooling did you have? Did you do like any webinars, internships, volunteering, job shadowing, reading books, or just YouTube University? What did you do?
Well, think about this. Was 20 years ago, Lana. You didn't have that much of that kind of thing at that point.
Okay.
So, it was really more, I mean, I had a marketing background, so, certainly I knew about marketing. Definitely it was books for sure. I've got, a bunch of them back here that I've read over the years. Yeah. Read a lot of books about recognition and psychology and kind of, what from a psychological standpoint, what really helps people feel appreciated. And I'll tell you, I really, again, relationships, I tapped into my network, the network of the people in my business. We were all a huge help to each other. because we were navigating this together. And so I certainly recommend to anybody starting a business, man, determine who your network of support is. And not just in your business. I mean, I had other other friends that were successful in different businesses who I turned to for advice. That's where I got a ton of education. Other people that were successful.
Networking, a lot of networking.
Yep.
Wow, that's good. So let's talk about the nursery and what it takes to sustain the type of business you have. So it could be funding, equipment, supplies, members, employee, marketing, whatever. Someone's out there interested in maybe doing this. What do they need for the nursery?
It's a great question because, again, it's different from when I was getting going. But, in this day and age, your web presence and your whole social media gig, your LinkedIn gig, that stuff all has to be figured out because, I think at this point, I don't know the figure. We looked at it when we redid our website about a year ago, but in our business, 60-70% of people, they determine like who they're going to bring into a proposal process solely on the website. So back in the days, we would reach out to people, and that's how we would get in front of people. It doesn't really work that well today. People don't answer their phones, and so you've got to have a great web presence, but it has to be supported by your blogs, your social media, your LinkedIn, all of those kind of things. And it's interesting because I actually have a lady who manages those for us.
Right.
And, occasionally I'm the one who's putting up some of the content, but, I'll get an email from a couple friends like, wow, that was a great post today. And, oh, good. Well, it really wasn't me. It was Vicky, but so how people are paying attention.
Yeah. You need that social media management, somebody just to manage social media and get the word out there.
If you don't know it, find somebody. The thing is, there are so many, the beauty of today's virtual world is there are so many people that work virtually that you can tap into. So as we started to grow, we would hire people as the business would get to a certain level and we would need to add a position. But every other thing, we would do that with 1099 people, with workers that were artists, they were web people, they were social media people that we can tap into and pay them on the project basis and not to have them on the payroll. So that's why Vicky from our team is phenomenal, because she is our social media and marketing guru. She does it all. I don't have to think about it.
Right.
So since I was a marketing major, it's really not my strength.
Right. And too, with virtual, you can get to different states. You can get all over the place, even international.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on a deal right now up in Michigan. Just somebody, hit our website, and that led to a conversation, and I was able to build some relationship, and we've got a nice shot at a significant piece of business.
So let's talk about labor pains. No pain, no gain.
Right. I saw that in action, by the way, 3 times.
Right. So let's talk about a time when right before you're getting ready to birth Incentra. Oh my gosh, things get heated. When we say the devil comes in and just maybe roadblocks, negative people, funding issues, whatever. Any labor pains you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, that first couple of years, I think like any business, it's just kind of crazy. You're working so hard to get out in front of people and tell your story. I will tell you that, they could put on my tombstone, Dave finished second. We would go in a deal. I mean, this still happens. We've been in some amazing deal opportunities. And there's 8 vendors, and we finished second. And there's 6 vendors, and we finished second. And it's each time it's somebody else. So it's like we're there. This was happening a lot in the first couple of years, and it gets so frustrating. But you just have to keep powering through it. And that's the kind of thing I get. I think dealing with defeat is challenging because it just wants to beat you up, and it wants to, wants you to start questioning yourself. And again, I think that's the enemy. Absolutely. He wants you to be down on yourself and, go into some downward spiral. And that's where, from a faith standpoint, like I'm just at a different position. And we had a really interesting couple years ago. And, it was tough because every one of our main clients, either a key person changed or, something happened that we had to almost essentially go back and re-win the business. And it was just, and meanwhile, we finished second in a couple of huge opportunities. I have up on my board back here, just, just some of the things I learned, like, hey, seek the Lord, what he wants, submit, this stuff happens.
Yeah.
Still, I'm serving his kingdom. It's not about me, it's about glorifying him, and to persevere, right?
Right.
So those are the things that, just this last go around I learned, and I'm an old dog, still have to learn some new tricks.
So basically you make those God appointments because a pregnant woman has to see her doctor. She has to go to the doctor. She has to get the instructions, see how the baby's, growing, listen to her concerns. And that's what you do in your God appointments. You talk to the Lord, you pray,
absolutely.
And then there are the prenatal vitamins that you need to take to help the baby grow, to nourish you. So what are some of the things you do to encourage you when you're getting beat up and you're having these thoughts? So you have your doctor's appointments with the Lord, but what else do you do to encourage you? Music, a good book, you've got some type of support group. Like, what keeps you encouraged besides your wife? We know she does a great job.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Linda's phenomenal, upbeat, wonderful, happy human being.
She really is. She really is.
She is. She's awesome. For me, it's just multiple spiritual disciplines. It has to be. So it can't be any one thing. It's got to be. It's got to be, for me, it's got to be staying in the Word.
Yeah.
I'm in a Bible study on Monday nights. I'm in one on Tuesday mornings. And it's just about reading at other times, making sure at least, I try to just start and end the day with at least a couple verses at the very least. And, depending on time, I do my walks, my power walks exercise. That's prayer time. You can see me, I'm moving around. I have a lot of energy. So it's hard for me to just sit and pray, but it's easy for me on a 40-minute walk to just have a great conversation with the Lord. And just making sure that we attend church regularly, serve in some other areas that, it's like you serve, but you get spiritually fed as well. So I think it's all of those. And when you're focused on those things, I think some of the things that are going on in the other areas, they're just noise, part of it's just learning to be content through all that, right?
Right. So we know everybody, baby gets sick. The baby gets sick some point. And so some of the things that you were talking about, the baby is a little ill and you have to figure out what's the remedy, what caused the baby this sickness. Is there a supernatural cure or a natural cure? So for those who feel like you, who says, I am finishing second, I keep finishing second, what is the cure for that? What would you say is the cure to come in first, to break that second cycle?
Yeah, man, it's some of that's just in the Lord's hands, but just when you own a business, perseverance is just the most important thing, right? Because you are going to get beat up and you're going to lose customers, and some other competitor is going to spring up that you never even thought of. And so you have to persevere. And I think the key is it kind of gets back to what I said about social media. Technology changes so quickly. You just always have to be at the top of your technology game. Our business is essentially, this is the fourth or fifth generation of when I started the business 22 years ago. Wow. Because the technology that we run these programs on has changed, every couple of years. It's something, this is literally a completely different business.
Right.
So you have to be willing to change. You can't be stuck
right.
in a way of thinking. And I think that's what's great about this, the good news about this COVID crisis is that everybody's re-examining what they're doing and
Yes.
how they're, whether it's the person that has a, I don't know, a cookie shop, but now they're selling cookie dough online or something, and they're
Right.
just great. I mean,
Yes.
everybody's doing cool things. Our church, I think we went from going to church to an online model or doing drive-in service,
And
right? Or whatever.
preaching.
What's that?
And you preaching for the first
Yeah, that's really crazy. Really crazy. But yeah, right. So, but that's part of it too. It's an opportunity. Opportunities come up, and that's the key, is just always be looking down the road.
Right. Wow. And yeah, and that's kind of how the Birthing Purpose TV channel came from, is not being able to go to the libraries and do the workshops anymore. So it's like, how do we get it out to the masses?
Love it.
Libraries are closed. So God has a way of getting the glory out of every situation. Everything that you think is a step back, he can get you going forward again. You just gotta
All
rely
things work to
on
the
him.
good of them who
Yes.
love him and that are called by him for his purposes, right?
So let's talk about red flags. I tell the attendees at the workshops, if your purpose has you neglect, disobey, or denounce God, that's a red flag. If your purpose has you neglect yourself or your immediate family, red flag. If your purpose has you to neglect your other purpose God has called you to, if you're no longer interested in your purpose, if your purpose is illegal, immoral, or becomes unethical, red flag. If your purpose changes your character from the way of love, now you're all Mr. Thing, you're big time, looking down on people, that kind of thing. So these are some red flags. Not to say if this is going on, you're not in purpose, but maybe the way you're doing your purpose needs to be adjusted. Have you ever had any red flags where you had to say, let me change some things with the way I'm doing things?
Yeah, I mean, I've probably had a number of them. I will tell you, I mean, I worked so hard to really get the business up to a certain level, so by 2012, 13, something like that. And really for the first time, I took the pedal off the gas a little bit. And, that was a mistake. I mean, I should have just, you gotta keep going. And I mean, it didn't really kill us, but I think we just kind of plateaued where we really could have kept growing. And so I think that was a red flag. I will tell you that at one point when it was doing well, there's no doubt that, it's easy to become prideful. I can tell you that. That's why I think, some of the beatdowns were deserved and lead to some really well-needed humility and reminder of, whose business this really is, right? It's not mine. So yeah, I think those things come along the way for sure. I think another thing that happens is that, and this had actually happened to me earlier in my career, but when you start to make decent money, there's a temptation to want to blow that money. I think getting back to that discipline, I think anybody that has a business just has to be so disciplined with their finances. You have to have money set aside for the business, for if you go through a bit of a drought, and financially you want to be able to support your family and look toward your future. So you have to to save and invest and be a good steward of God's blessings.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes the big head goes with the big blowing of the money. So
Right. So the wonderful thing is that God is an amazing GPS. His God's positioning system. He will
I love that.
He will reroute you and get you back on track, because his grace and mercy will do that. You just have to say, Lord, I am sorry, order my steps. And that's all he needs is a surrender, which is what you've done initially.
Yeah.
It can get you on the right track to even birthing your purpose, is you surrendered. So he rerouted you and got you where you needed to be. So
and sometimes his GPS will take you through the desert, right? And that's part of the learning process,
Oh, wow.
Just get me back on that highway to the green, the green happy lands. But you don't become the person that God wants you to become if you don't have that desert time either, right? So
yes. So I tell people while you're waiting to learn your purpose, to figure it out, or while you're in the desert, stay in God's presence during the wait, do what is right in the sight of the Lord, walk
Yeah.
through to the Spirit, share the gospel, save souls, share your testimony and encourage people, spread knowledge, whatever good knowledge it is that you have, be grateful, don't complain, and make no comparisons. And if you do these things, you're sure to come out of the desert or get back to purpose or where you need to be, right? And that's purpose
I
too.
love that. I love all those. You're dead on, Lana.
That's still purpose, right? That's every Christian's responsibility. No matter what you're doing, is to stay in God's presence, share the gospel, love people, right?
Yeah, amen. And I will say too, I think self-help book will tell you, what's that one thing you really want to do that, just that'll be your thing. And, God doesn't necessarily put, my wife's an interior designer. That is her thing. She's got this amazing gift. She loves it. And, she's got some gifts that are really, really cool. I don't really have any gifts like that. So
sure you do.
Well, but I don't have anything like that. She's got a crazy gift. But God puts you where He wants you.
Exactly.
And I think there's times that we maybe start to become discontented, and maybe the Lord's going to move us. But I think where He has us too, once we get to that place of starting our business, just be appreciative that He's got us there, and on good days and bad days, just keep embracing it. Kind of to your point, just keep rocking with it.
Okay, yeah, you're right. And for those, let me see, I was trying to share the screen, and for some reason I can't share my screen during this interview, but that's okay. We keep moving on. For those who are interested in incentives, employee incentives for engagement and retention, what is a way that they can reach you? How can you save the information? Because I would have put it on my screen and shared it, but I can't because I don't know what's going on, technical difficulties. But how does someone reach Dave Chittock for Incentra?
Well, you can go right to our website, which is Incentra Corp. So INCENTRACORP.com. And there's a contact button there, and I think it's solutions@incentracorp.com, and any email that's there for me will get forwarded right to my regular email, for sure.
All right.
If you go to and look for Incentra on Facebook, Twitter, we're on there as well. So, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay, wait. I think it worked. Give me that website again. My computer's back acting right again. Okay. INCENTRA.
And then CORP. So IncentraCorp.com.
And Facebook is that? Oh no, you said LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, and then Incentra, we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter.
Is it Incentra Corp on LinkedIn?
It's a really good question. See, I'm not a social media person.
And okay, long as they get to IncentraCorp.com, Dave Chittock. And do you have an email address?
Sure. So it's D Chittock. So DCHITTOCK at IncentraCorp.com. And if somebody goes to Facebook and they just search for Incentra, we'll pop right up.
Okay.
Do that as well. And if on our Facebook page, there's links to our website.
Okay, I can share the screen now. Technical difficulty. It's okay though, right? Incentra.
I think everybody is kind of used to that right now. Because
All
we're
right,
jumping on Zoom calls and we're having our issues, right?
oh my goodness. Okay, let me share this for someone so that they can see it. There they go. And I usually have a picture here. This is, and let me see if I can actually pull up the website. Hold on.
That is it.
Hold on. Oh, la, 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 la. I don't know what happened. You know what? Because my Mac asked me to do an update and it updated, and then I don't know what happened. I wanted to take them to the website. And my computer here is just doing this. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Okay. All right, good. So I've got this website right now. Okay, so here we go. Incentra. Okay, so here are products.
There you go.
Tell them a little bit about it.
Sure. If you go back over products there, if you just mouse over where it says products, that really kind of tells you the things we do. So we do employee recognition, which is all technology based, enterprise web solutions for large organizations. Employee recognition, we do a lot of healthcare programs. Cleveland Clinic and UH are clients of ours. Suma is as well down in Akron, really blessed with them. Sales incentives are the programs that we run to help companies just incent their people to go sell more stuff. And engagement technology is, essentially that's the technology platforms that we offer that clients can run their programs on.
All right, and there he is, Dave.
There he is. There's our team.
There's the team. Oh, wow. All right. Okay. And here's more contact information. There's a number, 1-888-899-7295. All right, and they are located in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, 67 East Washington Street, downtown Chagrin Falls. Beautiful neighborhood.
Great place to have an office, that's for sure.
Yes. Do you walk over to those falls during lunch?
During the summer, I usually do. I mean, remember, I worked here as a college kid and was always kind of walking around town. So it's kind of cool all these years later to still grab a sandwich and go sit by the falls like I did back when I was 21 years old. It's kind of cool. It's been quite a journey since then.
Yes. All right. This is great stuff. I thank you so much for sharing your story with the viewers. And for those who want to reach me for a free coaching session or deliverance session on Zoom, you can reach me at libertyinchrist.life or Instagram, Birthing Purpose with Lana. My email is birthingpurposewithlana@gmail.com. And if you want to see more interviews like this one that I've had with Dave, you can go to my YouTube channel at Birthing Purpose with Lana. This has been great. Thank you so much, because I've worked with you, but it's been all about the teens and getting those teens together. And so I never really had a chance to actually know your story and hear your story. So yeah, wow. That was great.
Thanks, Lana. I really appreciate the opportunity to spend this time with you today, and hopefully it's helpful to someone.
Oh, somebody's going to be blessed by your story. And I'm going to be rooting you on as you preach your first sermon on Sunday. Yay!
Yeah, preach or pray for me. It'll be tomorrow morning when I'll actually be doing it and videoing it. So yeah, I'll take any prayer I can get, man.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Lana. Really appreciate it.